Wealth has always been part of our world, and it always will be. And in the parable of the shrewd manager, Jesus tells his disciples what it is that he wants them to do with wealth, and he does it while seemingly commending a really dishonest man. The story involves a rich man who has a manager who seems to have squandered the wealth of his land, and because of that, he's gonna fire him. This means that the manager would not just be out of a job, but also that he would be out of a home, and so he comes up with a clever scheme that benefits the rich man's debtors, and so that maybe one of them would like him enough to maybe give him a job once he's fired. The scheme involves the manager forgiving some of the debtor's debt, and this puts the rich man in a really difficult position because the debt forgiveness makes him out to be like a really generous man, and then in turn, if he comes back to the debtors and tells them like, hey guys, I know that you guys made this deal with my manager, but I was in the process of firing him, then he would then seem like a duplicitous and harsh man. On the other hand, if he just lets the deal stand, then he will lose some money. It seems that he has to choose the lesser of two evils, and he chooses the latter, and he has no choice but to just admire the shrewdness of the manager. What's really puzzling is what Jesus says after this. For the children of this age are more shrewd in dealing with their own generation than are their children of light. And I tell you, make friends for yourselves by means of dishonest wealth, so that when it is gone, they may welcome you into their eternal homes. So, is Jesus encouraging his disciples to make dishonest wealth? There's a few things at play here. For one, we have to realize that Jesus is throwing the manager in with the children of this age, a distinction that's not a positive one. Although he is commending his shrewdness, he's clearly throwing his behavior in as not being part of the children of light. There's also an important vocabulary distinction in verse 9, because what the New Revised Standard Version translates as dishonest wealth literally means unrighteous. As we have seen in another video, this one, righteousness is not a measure of someone or some thing's internal ethic, but a measure of how they treat each other rightly in the context of a relationship. And in the context of the rich man and the manager's relationship, the manager constantly uses wealth for his benefit at the expense of the rich man. This is a rare case in which what Jesus is teaching is the opposite of what he's saying, is that the disciples are supposed to imitate the shrewdness of the manager, but instead of using wealth for their benefit, they're supposed to use wealth to make friends, build community, and advance the kingdom of God. The parable of the shrewd manager stands in harsh contrast with our hyper-capitalistic culture, in which wealth seems to be the end goal no matter what it does to people and the communities that they live in. For example, I live in New Jersey, not far from the city of Trenton, which was once a thriving industrial city until many of the industries there decided to take their business abroad to maximize their wealth. They did this in spite of how it would affect those who worked for them and the communities that they lived in. If we really imitated the wisdom of the parable of the shrewd manager, we could actually really help a lot of communities that have been completely forgotten.